DC101, I'm Mike Jones. We are talking today to Mr. Jacob Hemphill, your lead singer of SOJA. Jacob, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, buddies. It's nice to be here.
Now, first off, your last name's Hemphill. You're a white dude in a reggae band.
Yeah.
Let me see your license. I can't believe that's true.
I know. Nobody believes it. Everywhere I go, people, I mean, even people who don't know the band, they're like, oh, yeah, let me see your ID.
It was destined to be there from the start, from birth. You were like, well, this is what I'm going to do, Mom and Dad. It's got to be that way. So I was reading a whole bunch of stuff about you guys. You wanted to be a cartoonist growing up?
Yeah, forever. I just sat in class and drew stuff. That was all I did.
So like you were reading the Sunday comics and said, okay, well, I want to do this, or was it animation or what?
No, it was cartoon strips. It was like everything Marvel, everything DC, and then all the funny stuff like Calvin and Hobbes and what was that one with Opus in it? Bloom County, Far Side, all that stuff. Garfield, Ninja Turtles, Simpsons. I mean, I was fascinated by the cartoon world.
So you just sat there in class instead of doing math or anything. You're just like, oh, let me draw Charlie Brown.
Yeah. Well, they used to make all the kids do the work on paper, and I would do the work like in math. I would do the work in my head, and so they would be like, okay, do all your work on your paper, and I would just write the answer down and then draw a ton of cartoons under it, and they would come over and be like, show me your work. And I'm like, that's my work. And they're like, that's Garfield. And I'm like, dude, that's the answer. That's Garfield. What else do you want from me? But yeah, that was, cartoons constantly.
I actually could draw Mean Garfield myself when I was growing up.
Dude, I still do it when I'm backstage. I draw Bart Simpson, Raphael from the Ninja Turtles, and Garfield. And they're always saying something about SOJA.
And you guys just hang out there. I mean, you got all that time to kill. Do you ever still think about doing it? Like, you ever want to get back into it, or?
The problem that I had, I actually tried, like I for real tried, but you have to draw the image the exact same twice. And that's what being a cartoonist is all about.
Really?
And I could never, those guys, I mean, they can draw the exact same Calvin over and over and over. They can draw him 100 times. He looks exactly the same every time. I could never do that. I could draw like cool stuff, but they got to replicate it over and over. And it's actually a really hard job. I mean, even the words, like all those, like the Stanley typeface or like the Bill Watterson typeface, they wrote that. I mean, that was their handwriting, and it looked perfect. And my handwriting, I've been trying to do that my whole life, and I still, I draw the letter T 5 times, and they all look different, and they can't look different. Everything always has to look the same.
That's weird. I never knew that you had to do that so many times. I thought you could just do it once, and then you send it off to the printer, and there you go.
I think that's what they do these days, but yeah, 15, 20 years ago when I was checking it out at first, you actually had to draw that thing over and over and over.
And nobody sits anymore on on Sunday. When we were growing up, it was like, all right, you get the paper, Mom and Dad bought it, then give me the funny papers, and you look at them. Do they even have those in the paper anymore?
I
haven't looked at a paper in a while.
I have no idea. I feel so bad killing the trees just to get the newspaper. I look at everything on my phone. Yeah, I don't know. I worry about that stuff. Like when I have kids, are these guys just going to be total tools who know like nothing about? I have a song about that called "Used to Matter." In the song, I talk about like keys and watches and pens and ties and just all these things that I remember as a kid seeing my father or my mother like, wow, they're grown up and they have all these things. They have a briefcase full of papers and they have a thing. And now there's kind of nothing to look forward to. You're a 6-year-old kid, you've got a phone, you've got a tablet, and you've got a laptop. And when you're, 65, you're going to have a phone, a tablet, a laptop. I don't know. The progression's kind of gone.
It's all going to be like, just touch the air, like that Tom Cruise movie where he was just moving things around at that point.
He's lucky, though, that he can do that because he won't have to stand on phone books anymore. He can just stand on a stack of iPads, and touch the air.
So how do you go the transition? You wanted to be a cartoonist. Then how do you get into music when you're growing up? How did that come into your life?
Yeah, my mom taught me how to draw, and my dad taught me how to play guitar, piano, and sing. And so that was the 2 things we did in my house was you were either doing art, you were learning music, or you were outside playing. We could only watch TV really on Saturday morning or Fraggle Rock. We were allowed to watch Fraggle Rock.
Because it's an awesome show.
Because it's awesome. I learned so much from that show. But that was the deal. We weren't allowed to sit there and veg out and have other people live our lives for us. They were like, you got to live your own life. And so my dad taught me music from when probably I was about 12 years old. And then when I got to the point where he couldn't really teach me anything else, then I started taking lessons. And And then the bass player, Bobby Lee in SOJA, is my best friend since first grade. And we were in middle school. We were doing talent shows together, doing like Wu-Tang Clan and Young Black Teenagers and stuff like that. And then I went away one summer for a family reunion, and my cousins were all playing reggae, Bob Marley, EB40, and Steel Pulse and stuff like that. And I came home and I was like, Bob, you got to see all this stuff. And he was like, dude, let's do it. So originally it was me on guitar and Bob on bongos, and then he bought a bass and I showed him how to play it. And yeah, the music just went from there. Our buddy Ryan Birdie kind of bought a drum set, learned how to play. This kid Patrick O'Shea bought a keyboard. I showed him what I knew, and then he learned the rest. And we kind of, this whole band was just us messing around after school in high school in my dad's garage, or Bird's dad's garage. And yeah, we're still, it's kind of just the same thing. We're right there in Arlington.
Does when you guys do this show that's coming up at Wolf Trap, we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah. Is there any possibility of Dad joining you guys on the stage maybe to play something? I mean, have you thought about that?
He'll be there, but he'll be there in spirit. You know
what
I'm saying? But this is a big deal. You know, he took me to Wolf Trap since I was, I don't know, probably 6 years old. He would take me at least once a year to the Kennedy Center, which we got to play this year. We kind of headlined this tribute to Bob Marley thing that was sold out at the Kennedy Center. So this is my year to kind of finally get into all the stuff I was brought up on, Wolf Trap and Kennedy Center, and now sitting here on DC101. This is all the stuff I've been watching and following my whole life, and now we're doing it.
And the hard work's paying off finally for you guys. Are you nervous about doing this Wolf Trap show? Not with the performance, but just nervous because, oh my Lord, we're headlining Wolf Trap. This is awesome.
Right. I think excited more. You know, the size of the shows that we do in this will be maybe the biggest show we've done in the United States as far as headlining show. You know, drawing 7,000 people. But we go down to South America and over to Pacific Islands and places in Europe and do, you know, 15, 20,000 a night. So we as far as like butterflies in our stomachs, I think everybody will be fine. But excited for sure. We're like pumped. We're renting lasers and like cannons and all this. It's gonna be, we're going all out. 'Cause it's Wolf Trap, you know. We're excited. All our friends are gonna be there. All our family's gonna be there. Everybody's taking off work and coming through and getting party buses and going out, you know, 6 hours early. And we've got John Butler Trio opening up and Alice Smith's opening up for him. So we've got this cool kind of combination going on. And yeah, I'd say excited.
It's going to be a night for something for everyone, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you guys are playing those first shows, you're around Arlington and Northern Virginia and here in D.C. and everything, you guys probably had like 10 people. You're like, man, is this really going to pan out?
Yeah.
But now you're doing Wolf Trap and, you know, 5,000 plus people already have tickets for it. It's going to be an awesome night.
Yeah. I remember our first show was at the old firehouse in Vienna. And we didn't even have cars. We had mopeds. And so we got our buddy who had this our buddy Scott Carter had like a 72 like pea green Cadillac DeVille.
Sweet.
Yeah. And we put everything. The trunk was so big you could lay the guitars down, not even lengthways, I'm saying front to back. You could lay the guitars like in rows. And we put all that stuff in there and got on like 6 mopeds and drove up there. And there was nobody there, but I remember there was 4 girls in the front row that somehow heard about our band. I always wanted to meet up with them again and be like, dude, did you ever think? But we never met them. But I remember standing on stage and there was 4 of us and there was 4 girls in the front row and they were screaming like we were like the Beatles. And that was the first show, and I remember thinking like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. Like I'm sitting here playing music for people and they're screaming at me. And yeah, just kept going from there, I guess.
And that's only 4 people, and now you guys are going to have thousands of people doing that.
Hopefully 7,000, yeah.
That would be awesome. Is there anything that makes you nervous before you're performing? Like when you go out and, you know, are you afraid of failing at all? I mean, I know everyone screws up. Everyone has a bad show here and there. But is there anything that makes you nervous now?
Well, nervous normally makes me perform better. For some weird reason, if I'm mad or if I'm nervous, I put on these killer shows. And I never really got that. So now I always try to trick myself into being pissed off before I go on stage, which is kind of hard to do because when you know you're trying to be pissed off, you don't get that mad. But the thing that still gets me nervous, we did the Tonight Show a little while ago, standing there with 100 feet between you and a studio audience who's never heard you before. There's 200 people sitting down being completely silent. On your left is Jay Leno and Jessica Simpson and Adam Carolla, and they're staring at you.
Oh, man.
And you're just like, this is completely opposite of everything I've ever been trained for. And then right before you go on, they say, remember, you only get one take. 3, 2, dude, and you feel like you're on a roller coaster, like,
here we go.
Why are they getting so slow? Oh my God, over the top. And then the screen comes up, and there's these people who look bored as hell, and they kind of look like mannequins, and they're just staring at you like, you're not that good. I don't think I'm all right. I already. And then you have to play. But that was kind of nerve-wracking.
Sure.
Sitting back there, having them do hair and makeup, and somebody comes and tells you what to wear, and then Jay Leno walks in the Canadian tux, the denim jumpsuit.
Like he just fixed one of his cars and everything.
Yeah, and his chin's like bigger in real life than it is on TV, and he's like, hey, love the band. And you always want to like throw something in there like, we'd love to come back, dude. And he's like, okay, well, have a great show. And you're like,
you want to get drinks later, Jay? What's up?
Everybody always says that to him. I should have been the one guy who doesn't say that to him. But no, it was cool and friggin' nerve-wracking. But no, performing live music is the greatest part of my life. And that's always just the greatest, you know. Just have a couple drinks and get out there and rage with your best friends from when you were first grade. That's no problem. That's always an automatic thing.
How was it doing that Marley show at the Kennedy Center? Was that a pretty surreal experience?
So tight. I've seen the National Symphony Orchestra do the Christmas concert there once a year for, you know, my whole life, the past, I guess, 25 years. And I mean, every year. I mean, I never missed it because SOJA's always home for Christmas. So I had the opportunity to go every year. And to be on the other side of that, and I mean, I went to mad other shows there too, like all these plays, all these musicals, all these performances, you know, like world music acts and jazz dance groups and modern groups. And that's just how me and my dad were, you know, we would just go to all this stuff. That was how he was, and that's how he wanted me to kind of become. And I was standing there on the other side of it, like this is looking at the seats that we normally have, you know, just like there they are. That's the seats we always try to get right there, 2 tiers up right in the middle. So the acoustics are just perfect.
Dad knew exactly where to get tickets at.
Yeah. I mean, the way the room's built, there's one place you really want to be sitting. And I just kind of looked at that place all night and played. I had a great show. I can't wait till the thing comes out. It was some acoustic stuff and some electric stuff, and we were backed by the Roots Radix, who's this really famous Jamaican band who I've seen back 5 different artists, maybe 20 times at Taste of DC at 930 Club, at bigger places my whole life. Now these guys are backing me up. I'm headlining this thing, and all these famous people are playing before me, and I'm standing there kind of by myself on the stage with SOJA in the audience, and my heroes are my backing band, and I just kind of looked at those 2 seats and was just kind of like tapped into this thing. And that was maybe, I mean, I don't know if you can ever say greatest show of your life because there's so many amazing ones, but top 5 for sure. Yeah.
You just had that picture in your head of you and your dad sitting there, and you were playing just for like, you and your old man.
Playing for us. Yeah, it's the greatest thing.
Did you guys have to get dressed up for that show, or can you go into the Kennedy Center in your normal on-stage gear?
Well, a lot of the guys up there were wearing like reggae stuff, you know, because it's a tribute to Bob Marley.
Sure.
So, but I was like, nah, dude, this is the Kennedy Center. So I went with my go-to, which is a golf shirt, but with a sweater over it, so nobody can tell it's a golf shirt. So you just get the collar, the nice crispy collar, and then the sweater. And then I put the red, yellow, green bracelet on just to like shout out the reggae steez and then played. But no, I looked as nice as I possibly could, which is not very nice, but I tried my personal hardest.
It was like one step below traffic ticket court.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was like, I feel like I'm going to court, but stylishly, though. I don't have a jacket on. I'm a cool guy.
You can't walk into the Kennedy Center wearing what we're wearing right now, just T-shirt and shorts or anything.
I would feel like a tool. And I know it's totally acceptable, but I would just feel like a tool the whole time.
No, that's the Kennedy.
What am I doing?
That's like going to your friend's house, and everyone had that one friend growing up where it was like their mom kept the place immaculate. Don't touch anything.
Right.
You go in there looking nice. You respect everything, and you go out leaving nice.
Yeah. And then you go play at the park and get filthy. Yeah, exactly.
What are you going to wear for the Wolf Trap show? I don't want to blow any secrets, but maybe RG3 jersey, possibly. That'd be cool.
You know, I really love Robert Griffin. We saw him in an airport one time. I didn't want to scream out to him. Nobody recognized him. I could not believe it. And I'm walking by him in the security line. I was like, buddy, good to have you. And he was like, thank you. Really quiet, like just trying to keep his head down.
Subtle, like,
like, thanks. And then I see my merchandise manager giving him a CD, and I'm like, yes, this is great. We got to get him out to a show. Colt Brennan, the backup quarterback from a couple years ago, who took Hawaii to the bowl game, is a good friend of mine. So I love the NFL. So I my whole life I've been a fan of football. So. But this season was tough to watch, to see. The problem with Redskins fans is that every year we think we're going to the Super Bowl. And if you ask anyone in the whole league, their fans, what's the problem with us? They say, you get one thing and you think you're going to the Super Bowl. And we did that this year with Robert. Letting him play injured, watching him limp around.
Big mistake.
Watching him limp around. That playoff game, or the game before, I was in Miami at a studio cutting the new record. And I'm screaming at the TV. The second I see his knee buckle at all, I'm just screaming, take him out. And I screamed it 100 times. We have a backup quarterback who's 2-0. I mean, and he's watching his hero, Robert Griffin. He's jumping up and down on the sideline screaming, take him out, put me in. And of course Robert wants to play.
Of course he does.
But Shanahan's supposed to come in, put his hand on his shoulder and say, I know you want to play. You're worth too much. We're not going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not an idiot. Go sit down, and we're putting your body in.
Yeah.
And he might get us a win right here. And if he doesn't, he's 2-1, and this is why I drafted him in the 6th round, so that we could have something in case you went down. We wouldn't have to burn your knee out. And now we're sitting here. But anyway, I'm a huge football fan. Other than the name of the team, I love the Washington Redskins. Can't stand the name. But I think Warriors would be good. But anyway, huge fan. When a player that valuable gets injured, you sit him down.
Yeah.
And that's all I had to say about that.
Yeah, it's like, I'm
Unless you think you're going to win the Super Bowl every year, then you play him injured like an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, you send the guy out there like T.O. did a couple years ago with those screws in his foot.
Yeah.
Where he's giving it all on the Super Bowl field.
We got a shot at this thing.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Have you seen the competition? Dude, Kaepernick, have you watched him play? And he isn't injured at all. Robert could beat him if he's healthy. If he's not healthy, Kaepernick's going to win. Even if nothing bad happens to Robert's leg, he's still limping around. I mean, even if nothing happens to him, his whole gift is he going to run? Is he going to pass? Is he going to bust right through the middle? Is it going to turn into play action? I didn't even see it coming. So we would freeze defenses all year. When his knee is injured, the freeze is over. He's going to pass. So what are they going to do? They're going to sack him every time. Where are they going to hit him? They're going to hit him in the knee.
They're going to go right low.
He's got a target on his head. I couldn't believe that stupid game. But anyway, huge fan of Robert, huge fan of the Washington football team, and I just wish we would look 5 years down the road instead of 5 games down the road.
When is SOJA going to be there at FedEx singing the national anthem? When are we getting that?
I know. My engineer, a guy named Mike Kaplan, who's recorded my vocals for the last 3 albums. He's done my last 2, and he's doing this one now, and we're almost done with it. But Mike Kaplan, when he's not with me, being my engineer, is the sound guy for the Washington Nationals. And he started with the Maryland Terrapins, and then he adds the Nationals. And I keep asking him, I'm like, dude, when is it going to get big? When are you going to hit the Redskins? And he's like, dude, that's the goal.
Yeah,
I'm working at it. We'll see.
Nationals are pretty big, though.
That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Terps, and now he's doing Terps and Nats, and he just wants to get Terps and Nats and Skins.
Yeah.
and then he's good. But yeah, I guess once he gets in there, I'll be playing that. I want to play that thing they have where they do like the football throwing challenges outside, and then they'll get like some band to play like before the game,
like the tailgate thing that's going on.
I want to do one of those because tailgating's my favorite, and throwing the football and drinking beer and barbecuing and getting up early and having an excuse to drink beer at like 11 o'clock in the morning,
9 a.m. like Miller time.
We have a lot to do today. Like, stop slacking, Ricky. Open the beer. You haven't even had a sandwich yet. How can you drink it? You're way behind. Like the guy who's still at the bar at 1:30 the night before. You're like, what are you doing, dude? Go home. We have such a big day tomorrow. But yeah, I'd love to play one of those things. The closest we've gotten was playing, I think it was you guys were doing a chili cook-off or something in RFK parking lot one year, and we played that. And we were looking over at the stadium and kind of pretending it was FedEx Field or pretending it was 20 years ago and it was RFK. And we were like, this would be so cool. But yeah, it'll happen, dude. It'll happen. We're huge supporters of the, DC's just got the greatest fans ever, the most dedicated fans ever. I mean, even at the Wizards games, well, I don't even know if the Wizards are good anymore. I used to watch in those Gilbert Arenas.
They're not.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not.
I haven't watched it in so long, but I used to watch Arenas go to the playoffs every year. And, I love Washington sports because of how into it everybody is. It's like win or lose, we're all going to be there. And most towns fans show up when the team's winning, and when it's losing, they're embarrassed and they don't go. But we show up either way, and I always loved that about DC sports.
Yeah, I think the Nationals are getting that way now, where people are coming win or lose.
Right.
I mean, for a couple of years, it definitely doesn't matter. They're not coming. Now it's tough to get a ticket for that, and I like seeing that, just like the Capitals.
Absolutely. My buddy's dad, Bobby Lee, the bass player's dad, Mike, who I grew up with, drives up from Danville to watch Nats games, and I see that, and I'm like, this is great. People are like coming from afar, staying for a couple days,
that's
watching
awesome.
a couple games, and the stadium's so awesome. I mean, it's like Lito's Pizza and like this and that. You feel like you're in DC. You're like, where's like the, but and you can see like the no walls thing is so killer, and then you head. What is it? Is it the bullpen? The bullpen?
Yeah, the bullpen that's out there.
I love it, dude. And the boxes. We were there for Strasburg's first game, the 14 strikeouts
against the Pirates.
Yeah, and I was in this little box watching that thing, and they had Nathan's hot dogs, Lito's Pizza, and Dominion Ale. And I was like, this is like the most DC, Maryland, Virginia experience you could ever have. And then watching him throw 14 strikeouts, and then 5 years later he throws his arm out of his socket. But Tommy Johns makes you strong.
He'll be all right.
But yeah, but no, I love it. I love it. DC sports are a big part of me, and my kind of identifying with where I'm from. But Robert's amazing, man. Robert's amazing. DC fans just got to realize Super Bowls take a long time to get to, and it's not about winning one. It's about winning 2 or 3 and being looked at as the Patriots or the Giants or a team like we want to be looked at like that, how we used to be looked at. We don't want to be a fluke,
No.
I love Doug Williams, and I love Mark Rippon. But what I'm looking for is Joe Theismann. I want to be that franchise quarterback team that can run, that can pass, and that can stomp you out with fast cornerbacks and big safeties. Rest in peace, Sean Taylor. But, yeah. Redskins, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the new album. We can go on about sports for hours here, but let's talk about the new album. When are we getting it?
Nobody really knows yet. I've already started Instagramming pictures of the lyrics just because I've got these super complicated lyrics, and they're always about politics or environment or humanity or the symbiotic relationship between this stuff. And so I've started sending the lyrics out already so people can kind of pre-digest like a digestif of the main course that's going to be the album. But we don't know. We're shooting for early next year. We're working with a producer that we really like on songs that we really like with some musicians who are good friends of ours that we really like. We're pretty much done. We're just putting a lot of finishing touches and getting it the way we really want it. I spend a lot of time most days out of the week when I'm home just kind of working on this thing and reworking it. And yeah, hopefully we put it out and win a Grammy and put that on the wall, and then I can take down the one, the Dave Matthews one that John Alasia gave me.
Like, so you're taking the songs home and you're on your computer and like working with this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, emailing back and forth with this producer who was, my and hopefully I think everyone in the band's main choice for this record, and just getting everything. There's so many little things to take away from it. You listen to these songs, and 2 months later, you see it differently. You say, "Oh, why did I say that line when I could have switched those 2 words with these 2 words? It would have been so clear what I was saying." Or I could have switched those 15 words with these 2 words, and it would have been the exact same thing. So why did I just say 15 words? And why? Because the whole point of my music's about changing the world. So the simpler I can make myself, and the more clear I can make the words that I say, the better. So I'll listen to it, really like the delivery, but then figure that, wait a minute, I could have got that same delivery, I could have made that word way more clear, people would have way more understood. Then I go back. My studio's in my house, it doesn't cost me a dime, so I just sit there, call up Mike Kaplan, my engineer, and knock stuff out for 3-4 days, and then take another week off and listen, stay up at night, drink a couple or a couple more beers and just listen to my studio over and over and roll one up and kind of sit there and make notes, wake up in the morning, see if I agree with the notes. Sometimes I'm like, what the hell was I talking about?
That was too many last night. We got to go back to scratch.
Why does it say 2:30 in the morning on my notes app on my phone? But yeah, there's just so many. And we used to try to rush to get albums out because we would have this beautiful album and we'd be like, we got to share it with people, But then after a while, it's like, well, dude, we're going to release this. It's going to be out there forever. Why don't we just take another 4 to 6 months and just mull it over and just no drastic changes, no, changing a song for a specific market or something. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying being like, wait a minute, that was too much. Or wait a minute, there wasn't enough there. And, you get something better at the end. You get what you pay for and you get what you wait for, and we just want to come up with the best thing we can, as if time wasn't an issue, even though it is.
But then there's also, that immediacy that we have now with social media and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everything else, where the fans constantly want stuff from you too. So you got to find that balance.
Yeah, we kind of, I think we're doing pretty good on that. We don't. And by the way, DC101, thank you very much for having me on today. But
of
radio and TV hasn't been the thing that made us. The fans have been the thing that made us. We're a white reggae band from Virginia, which, a lot of people automatically just turn off to. They go, oh, white reggae. As if that's crazy, as if white hip-hop is no good, or black rock is no good, or Latin country is no good. But those are all accepted. But white reggae, you think of a dude with a fake Jamaican accent who says all this weirdo religious stuff, and you're like, no thanks, that's gross. And I totally get that. But that's not our thing. Our thing is trying to change the world, and reggae music, we feel, is the one that has always been the catalyst, at least for what we can see of doing that. Bob Marley specifically. Anywhere I go in the world, he's the face of freedom. He's the face of change. It's not Nelson Mandela. It's not Mahatma Gandhi. It's not Martin Luther King. It's Bob Marley. He's the icon of everything I'm trying to do. And he's also, in my opinion, the best songwriter as far as connecting with humans that ever lived. So we do what we do for the reasons that we do it. And the fans have seen through the kind of white reggae deal into what we're really trying to do here. And so the fans have been the key in everything we've done. These 6,000 or 7,000 people showing up at Wolf Trap, even though we're not on the radio, we're not on TV. That doesn't normally happen. So that's kind of our deal, is realizing that without the fans, everybody says, oh, without my fans, I'd never be here. But us, truly, without the fans, we literally would not be here, not a chance in hell. So as far as social media goes, we give a lot to those guys. We put up the lyrics. We put up pictures of us in the studio. We put up videos of new songs that are unreleased, because we owe them that and more. The fans, to us, that's everything for us. Yeah. So social media is a way that we can kind of pay them, at least try to pay them back for this wonderful life that they've afforded us to have.
Plus, you can find out, if these people that are the hardcore fans, if they really like the stuff that you're doing, or, hey, this song should be changed up. You can get that feedback too.
Yeah, they let you
instantly.
Know. Yeah, they let you know. And it's great for us, because when we started, we were more of the band with the kind of the accent and the kind of religious partly thing going. I mean, 10 years ago, but still, some of those fans are still around, and you'll hear them right now. They'll be like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. But we love it because we don't want to be associated with a movement that tells people what religion or what hairstyle or what kind of shoes is the right way. You know, that's a personal journey everybody's got to go on. And so that side of reggae we've gotten away from, and now we're just pushing the revolutionary kind of Rage Against the Machine side. We're like a Rage Against the Machine reggae band, basically, is what's going on. And those are the fans we want to get, the objective, open-minded, forward-thinking fans that are going to make a difference in the world, not the guys sitting around judging each other on how long their dreadlocks are and smoking more than anybody needs to smoke.
Yeah.
So we love it for that too, because we can, we get crapped on by the people that we aren't really talking to anymore, and then all these new people who are like, dude, your music's crazy, like I totally agree with what you're saying, like I just joined this organization the other day and they specialize in helping like these kind of people, and I started my specific group is this, and I'm going and taking this class and this thing, and your music's like my Changing the World soundtrack, and thank you. And we're like, that's the guy or that's the girl that we're shooting to get, and social media puts us in a room with them. Yeah, it's great.
It gives you that immediacy. I wanted to know where, Jacob, is the furthest anyone's come from around the world to see a SOJA show?
I don't know.
So I know you got fans everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. We go, I mean, in a week, I'm off to like Poland, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, Portugal, Italy, Spain. I mean, it's crazy. And then we go south. We go Brazil, Argentina. We get down to Chile. I mean, the bottom. And then we go west in the Pacific Ocean. We do Guam and Palau and Hawaii and New Caledonia, Australia, Fiji, New Zealand. Other than Asia or Africa, we're there. And then they come see you because DC is such a transient city. Nobody's from here. I'm from here, and you're from here, but most people are not from here. It's a U.S. government kind of town where people are coming into. And so we meet tons of people who, work at the federal whatever bureau or the thing and the thing. There was a hearing the other day, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, was doing a hearing about the coal runoff laws haven't been changed in over 30 years since Reagan was president. And 4 out of 5 coal nuclear plants coal power plants in the 4 out of 5 of them in the country aren't regulated at all. So what they do with the heavy metals that are done after they make all the power is they dig a hole in the ground and they dump it all into the ground, and it goes into the water system and everybody gets poisoned.
Yeah, great.
And so I'm at this hearing and I'm looking around and I'm like, this is great. Living in DC, you can really show up, you can make your voice heard, you can get people to change what you don't believe in. And I walk out, and 2 of the guys who were in the thing, I had to leave and go to the studio to meet up with Mike and do work. And I'm walking out, and one of the guys, I had to leave early, and one of the guys leaves early behind me, and I was like, crap, I'm like influencing these guys to leave early. Like, I really wish they would stay. And the guy comes out, and he's like, dude, could you sign my thing or whatever? And I was like, this is kind of crazy. I'm at an EPA meeting, and this guy's a SOJA fan. So as far as how far they've come, I mean, from halfway around the world, but it's cool meeting people here in DC because a lot of the people want to keep the world as screwed up as it is right now, but a lot of the young people and some of the older people want to make a big change who live here. So people always ask me why I didn't move to Brooklyn or move to LA or move to Athens or Austin or Asheville.
And you can go anywhere you want.
And I'm like, dude, I totally could, and it would be way cheaper, and the weather would be way nicer, and there'd be a lot prettier things to look at. But what you have in DC, if you choose to use it, is you have power. And I think that was kind of an edge that SOJA had, because there's a lot of American reggae bands kind of coming up right now, and SOJA's maybe the biggest one. I don't know, but I think part of our edge is that we actually have something to talk about, and DC has something to do with that, because people in DC like to read the newspaper. People in DC like to know what's going on, because you feel like you could kind of make a change in this thing. I mean, you're in the perfect place. The capital of the free world is the capital of, we're sitting in it right now. Who knows how much longer, but yeah, so perfect place to be, and people definitely come from all around to this place to kind of make their mark.
Well, dude, we're going to have a great time. We should probably get this wrapped up.
Sure.
We've been chatting for a little while here,
yeah.
but it's been, very, very interesting. I do want to talk sports more, but oh well.
Dude, I'll come back.
We'll do that another time.
Yeah, I'm right down the street.
Next time you guys are around.
Easily done, dude. I'll hop in the car and drive over and hang out. And
we can meet in Arlington or something.
Yeah, dude.
We can do that.
We'll go. There's a bar by my house called William Jeffrey's Tavern. It's brand new.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we'll go over there. We'll get a sandwich. We'll bring a microphone.
I love it. We'll keep chat, or we can meet up for a Redskins game one afternoon.
Ooh, that's even better, dude. That's even better. Hopefully, I can get in there with Robert. Because now that Colt Brennan's back in Hawaii, I don't really have a Redskins in anymore. That was my in before. But yeah, we'll figure something out. We got to find one of these Washington players, one of these Super Bowl candidates who want one of these amazing athletes to bring SOJA into the Redskins flag.
I would say Cooley, because we've had Chris out at a bunch of chili cook-offs, but he's now hanging it up. Yeah. And hey, that's fine for Chris.
But you know what, though? The way he played and the amount of class and the amount of poise that he showed over his career, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Comcast guy forever.
Yeah.
Or something like that. He's at the games forever.
Absolutely.
People love Chris Cooley. Chris Cooley's like Charles Mann. It's just everybody's like, where's Art Monk? I want to hear him talk, Not that Cooley won a bunch of Super Bowls or something, but Cooley's like LeVar, wanted to be a Redskin his whole life. We cut him. He goes to the Giants, but he in his mind is still a Redskin.
He's still a Redskin.
Forever. And we love him for that.
Yeah.
So I bet Cooley's got a long career right here in D.C. doing awesome stuff. And next time he's in here, please tell me so I can come in and stalk him. Yeah.
I will have Chris in sometime and have you in too as well, Jake. We can definitely do that. We're going to see you guys on the 31st. The show at Wolf Trap, you're headlining with John Butler Trio.
Yeah.
And we're also having the DC101 BYOC with Star Hill Brewery. I want to give them some love.
Cooler. Yeah, Star Hill, dude. That's Dave Matthews' crew. That's our record label and our management company. And those guys got their hands in all sorts of quality stuff. But Star Hill, yeah, that's great. We're pumped about that.
It's funny how we got that all to work so easily.
Yeah, isn't that great? It's the Virginia connection.
Can you do us a favor while you're out there and sign everyone's cooler too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I'm going to bring my cooler. I got one of those stupid coolers where you can't stick stickers on it. So you
what?
Just,
we got to get you a new cooler then, dude.
Stickers. And I got the greatest. I mean, I go everywhere. So my cooler could be so cool. So I just ended up spray painting it. I'll write like Nepal and spray paint on like Costa Rica across the top. And they're like, why'd you do it? Well, you can't put a sticker on it. You know what I mean?
That's
on the 31st, and we'll be there.
Yeah, and you can get all the info about tickets and everything at soljamusic.com and all your
SOJAmusic.com.
your social media and everything.
Just Google SOJA, and then you'll figure it out. We're SOJA from Arlington, Virginia, and we ain't going nowhere, to quote Mambo Song.
Get the new, the latest album, Strength to Survive. The new one's coming out spring-ish next year.
Yeah, some early next year we should have it. We're going to be done here in a little bit, and then we just, we figure it out, and then we drop it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Jacob, thank you for coming in, brother.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.